Today we are going to discuss the new topic in chemistry. Is matter pure? Is matter pure? See, when we go to the market, we used to purchase different items like rice. Sometimes in the grocery shop, we used to purchase the loose, means 1 kg, 2 kgs like that. Not the packed items I am speaking. So in that some stones will be there. Means these rice grains are adulterated with mudstones or the sandstones or sometimes husk or sometimes the paddy, dhanyam. So that is not pure. In that sense we used to say. Next here, ghee if you take, loose if you purchase from the milk booth and all, sometimes we may find that some impurities will be there. If it is free from impurities, we can say that it is pure ghee. See here, this is Vishaka dairy product, pure ghee we can say. Next, if you take milk, if it is not adulterated with water, we can say that the milk is pure. So here this packet is pure. Sometimes we used to purchase the milk which consists of more water in it from the milkman or milk boys. So that is adulterated with water. So it is not pure like that we used to say. But this pure is totally different from pure in chemistry. Here one activity it was given to us. Let us take milk in a tumbler and then by using the churning instrument, if you go on churning, we used to get some paste like material comes out to the edges of this vessel. So we can call that one as cream. So let us do that activity here. We churn the buttermilk. We used to find that butter will be floating on the top because of less density we can say, and if we churn the milk also, the cream will be floating at the top. Cream is having some components, it is not pure. Next, if we take the water, water is a mixture of salts and some minerals also will be there in water. But according to chemistry, it is not pure because it is homogeneous in nature, because it is having that in homogeneous mixture we are able to find that water consists of salts and minerals. Water is the homogeneous mixture of water plus salts and minerals. Now if we take the fruit juices, in that fruit pulp will be there and we are adding some water and we are adding some sugar to it. So it is a homogeneous mixture of fruit pulp, water and sugar. So we cannot say that fruit juice is pure. Normally we can say that normal common way, if it is free from impurities we are calling it as pure. That pure is totally different from chemistry pure. Next, purity comes from homogeneous nature. So let us take example of gold biscuit and lemonade. Lemonade, if we take it in a glass tumbler, it is a mixture of lemon juice and water and little salt. So here entire liquid is having the same property. If we taste the liquid from the top of the container or from the middle or from the bottom, same taste we used to get. Means entire liquid is having the same property. In the same manner, if we take the gold biscuit, here a small bit of gold piece if you take it out, and what are the properties it is showing, if you collect a bit from here or if you collect a small piece from here, same properties it will also show. So this is pure in nature. Now here pure means composition of any part of the substance does not change. Went for any examination is called pure substance. Composition of any part of the substance. If we take the gold biscuit as example or lemonade as example, does not change even after any examination is called pure substance. Example, We have discussed gold biscuit or silver biscuit, anything. Next here, let us discuss about the mixers. Mixer is the combination of many components which are not chemically combined. Best example is the air is the mixture of gases. In that we are able to find that nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, and carbon dioxide 0.03%. So mixtures, they can exist in gaseous state or in the liquids, alcohol and water or oil and water, like that. Some mixtures we can able to take. Next, either solid mixtures means if we take some iron filings mixed with the sand granules, that is solid in solid mixture. Now let us know about mixtures. Mainly they are of two types. First one is homogeneous mixture. Example is if the milk is added to the glass filled with water. And if we add few drops of milk to it, we can able to find that homogeneous mixture will be formed. Without stirring, we are able to find that milk particles, they mixed up with water. If we take water in a glass tumbler and add sugar to it, sugar granules to it, and if you stir it, we can able to, after some time, the sugar totally gets dissolved in this, because the liquid water is having some sort of space in between. In that spaces, these sugar granules, they got mixed up. We used to get that homogeneous mixture. If we taste the solution from here, collecting the solution and taste it here, the same sweetness, and if we collect from the bottom also same, because it is a homogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. Let us take water. Either you add kerosene oil or coconut oil. Here coconut oil is available. Let me drop that coconut oil. See, we are able to find that a separate layer is formed. A separate layer is formed in between coconut oil and water, because the coconut oil density is less than water, so it floats on the surface. Sometimes we can able to find that oil streaks on a rainy day. If you travel on the road, tar roads, we used to find that rainbow colors we are able to see when the oil leaked from the vehicles, so it floats on the water surface. Instead of taking water first, if you take first oil and then if you pour water also, again the water goes down and we are able to find that oil at the top. Heterogeneous mixture. Glass of water and chalk piece to be powdered, and if we add this chalk powder to that water, it forms that heterogeneous mixture. Chalk powder, it precipitate at the bottom. So we are able to find that water is separated from this. Chalk is settled at the bottom in the form of precipitate. It is an example for heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. If we take the naphthalene ball, it will not dissolve in water. Normally this naphthalene dissolves in kerosene. In chemistry, there is a quotation that likes dissolve in likes. So water is a polar substance in that sugar, glucose and salt, those are all easily they can dissolve, but not the non-polar substance like this naphthalene. Either if you drop it, it will not dissolve. If you ground it into powder and if you add it to the water also, we can find only the heterogeneous mixture. It will not dissolve in water. Discuss about solution. Solution is the combination of solute plus solvent. Solute plus solvent. Solute always it is in less quantity, solvent it is with more quantity. And this combination gives you the solution. Here components of mixture are not separated by the method of filtration. Just a few minutes back we have seen that salt gets dissolved in water or the sugar gets dissolved in water. After dissolution, by using the filter, we cannot able filtration process, we cannot separate salt from water or we cannot separate sugar from water. Totally uniform solution we are able to get it. Next, properties of solution. Properties of solution. If we take the lemonade solution, in that lemon juice, water and salt, these three ingredients will be there, components will be there, and water and add lemon juice to it. Glass tumbler with water and let us add lemon juice to it. And then a pinch of salt to be added. Pinch of salt to be added. Then if you go on stirring, you will get uniform solution. Next, if you focus the light from one side, it cannot allow light to scatter. It cannot allow light to scatter. Components do not settle down in the solution. Components means if you take the salt after complete dissolution, salt will not settle at the bottom. Next, let us see that what is meant by solubility. What is meant by solubility? The amount of solute dissolved or is added to the solution at certain temperature is said to be as its solubility. At a fixed temperature, how much quantity of solute will be added to the given quantity of 100 ml of water, we can call that one as its solubility. See, let us see the concentrated solutions, let us test it. If we take water, same quantity of water in 2 tumblers, now you see we can able to form the dilute solution here. Dilute solution we can able to make. The solute is less and the solvent quantity is more, then we can find that, and it is capable of dissolving some more, we can call this one as dilute. And if I go on adding some more, then it will be concentrated. We are able to find the dark color, so we can call the solution as concentrated solution than before. See here, glass tumbler we have taken, and here nearly 20 ml of water we have taken, and we add the pinch of salt crystals to that. And if you go on stirring, the salt get dissolved freely in the water. Initial stage we can call this solution as unsaturated solution. Means it is having the capacity to dissolve some more salt crystals in it. So it is said to be as unsaturated. If you go on adding salt to this, and stir it thoroughly, See, quantity of water we did not change it. Same quantity of water, 20 ml of water only. But we are going on adding the salt to this. At one stage, some salt get dissolved and some salt crystals they will be settled at the bottom. This we are calling it as saturated solution. Means no more salt will be dissolved in the given solution. It will be settled. So this is what called as saturated solution. Here salt is the solute and water is the solvent. Now let us discuss about the factors influencing the rate of dissolution. How you can able to dissolve the substances. Let us take 3 tumblers, 3 glass tumblers, and if we add the same quantity of water, 30 ml of water in each glass tumbler, if we add 1 tablespoon of salt crystals to the first one, 1 tablespoon of salt crystals to the second tumbler, and 1 tablespoon of salt to the third one. This first tumbler should not be undisturbed, should be left free without any stirring. But if you start stirring this second tumbler which is having the salt crystals, we are able to find, if you note the time, if it is taking 2 to 3 minutes for the dissolution of salt crystals in water. All the salt crystals they get dissolved. Continuously, if you go on stirring with a glass rod, definitely they get dissolved. But in the third tumbler, instead of stirring, if you go on heating with the Bunsen burner, here the dissolution will be faster than the previous two. Here when you go on heating the glass tumbler, the salt can able to dissolve faster than the previous 2 tumblers. The reason is here one of the factor is temperature. In the first tumbler we did not stir it, that is what salt crystals as usual they were there. Slowly they may dissolve in water. But in the second tumbler, by continuous stirring, they got dissolved in the water. But here also on heating for some time on the Bunsen burner or any gas stove or the candle flame, totally the salt get dissolved, because when you raise the temperature, dissolution will be faster. If you go on stirring, then also dissolving the solute in the given solvent, it is little faster. But here it depends upon size of the solute particles. In the first glass we have just taken that patika bellam, bigger size crystals we have dropped in the first container, and second tumbler we have taken only the sugar, ordinary sugar. And where the dissolution is faster means if you go on stirring for 2 to 3 minutes, it may not dissolve because the particle size of the solute is bigger. In this, the particle size is smaller, that is what it may dissolve faster than the previous one. When we talk about heterogeneous solutions, they are available in suspension form and colloidal form. Here, kerosene oil and water, they will form the emulsions. Next here, components are not uniformly distributed in heterogeneous solutions. But if you take the homogeneous mixed solution like salt solution, salt particles separately we cannot find in the given solution. Next, for colloidal solutions, example milk, cream, boot polish and clouds. And they also scatter the beam of light. Next here, to find the concentration of a given solution, we have some formulas. Percentage of solute in a given solution, one formula will be there, that is mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. If they ask about percentage of solvent in a given solution, means here mass of solvent divided by mass of solution into 100. Here one sum let us do. In a given salt solution, 50 grams of salt dissolved in 250 grams of water, or you can take 250 ml of water, and calculate the mass percentage of solute. Here in the given solution, less quantity is salt, so solute is, mass of solute is 50 grams. Mass of solution is mass of solvent is 250 grams. So mass of solution, if you want it, mass of solution is nothing but mass of solute plus mass of solvent. So 50 plus 250. 50 grams plus 250 grams. Total 300 grams we used to get. Next here, if you apply the same mass of, how can you get that? Mass percentage of solute means mass of solute, we know that, divided by mass of solution into 100. Here mass of solute is 50 grams and mass of solution is 300 grams, not 250. 50 plus 250, 300 grams total solution mass. So 300 grams into 100. So if you cancel like this, grams and grams, 2 zeros, and 50 by 3 you may get. So if you simplify, nearly 16.67 percentage of solute will be there in the given solution. In this way you can calculate the mass percentage of solute or solvent. Thank you children, and we can discuss the remaining part in the next video. Thank you.